Wanted to be on time this time, so I didn't want to go past the time that I said I was going to start. Let me pull my hair down. Oh, I wear a hair tie during the day to keep my hair more manageable, let's say. Mangeable. Kick off my slippers and my pajamas here and sit here and get as confident as I can possibly get. I didn't have any forethought of how I was going to tackle this. I didn't intend on making a live cast, and 9 times out of 10, that's usually how it starts. And when I come up with the topic, it's something that I'm just feeling in my heart. And in that particular moment that I have an idea for a video, I I decide for myself that I'm going to make a video regardless of whether people want to watch a particular topic or not. It has to be something that's near and dear to me. No, I'm not going to make a live cast talking about the latest shooting or what's going on in, society in general, because it just doesn't feel honest and true. And so, my apologies once again that tonight I came in here out of the blue on a Sunday night and decided I was going to do a live cast because I told people I was going to let folks know. Last time I said it'd be Thursday, but it's Sunday, the night before. I have to go back to work tomorrow, and I started thinking about confidence, and I wanted to use a prop, a very specific prop to make my point tonight that just haven't really decided how I'm going to even talk about it. But this right here, this is a diamond necklace, and this diamond necklace right here is worth approximately $975,000. Now, I just came up with that number off the top of my head. I'm totally talking out my ass because this is actually a piece of costume jewelry that anyone could probably buy for dirt cheap, which came with a giant box and bag of various costume jewelry that I bought at a garage sale for 40 bucks, including all these vintage beads. And the reason why I stated that it was worth that much is because if I were to put a necklace in front of you and tell you it was worth that much, you might believe it. Because who are you to know whether these are real diamonds or not? They're not. They're not glass, though. I think they're Swarovski crystal or something like that. But a lot of folks don't realize that fake diamonds are often just as durable as diamonds, more or less, and that they serve the same purpose and actually can be more clear and more beautiful. The same as synthetics, for example. And I've always been fascinated by the fact that people feel confident enough to wear costume jewelry, knowing that it's fake, knowing that people know it's fake. And yet, there's a certain amount of confidence that comes with wearing something like that. And as I got older and I started to learn that extremely wealthy people who have very fine jewelry actually have fakes made of their own jewelry to wear. So a lot of folks who you see out in public wearing a diamond necklace really are wearing a mock-up of that diamond necklace when they go out and keeping the real one in a safe. I just thought about this for a little bit and I said, just the type of mentality it takes to even give a shit about the real one at that point. If you're willing to wear a fake one, if you're willing to actually put it out there and know that the world sees it the same, don't bother with the real one. And what does this have to do with confidence at all? Piece of shit. I'll never do anything with that. I guess I wanted to make one more point on that is that a human being. I'll go fish it out from back here. A human being took the time to actually solder each one of these joints, to even give it a certain amount of, uh, I guess, crowning in the front, you would call it, convex. And it's a really nice piece of jewelry. I mean, it's quality. None of the stones have fallen out. I think the clasp is missing. But like I said, it came in a pile of, costume jewelry and beads that I got. I'm a necklace maker, jewelry maker, and I have a ton of beads, like an unlimited supply of like random old beads. But um, this kind of stuff, I'm like, what do you do with this? And it really got me thinking about the costume jewelry world. On a side note, when I was about 15, I was I'm guilty of shoplifting. I would go into a place called Village Drug, this local drugstore with all this costume jewelry, and my friends and I, with our mullets, long hair skaters, we'd walk through the costume jewelry area and look at all the jewelry. Then we'd just leave after stealing a bunch. And I think back to like, yeah, those people who worked in that store knew exactly what we were doing, and there's nothing they could really do about it. Such idiot kids. But that's another story altogether. I wanted to stick to the point here about confidence. You know, it always fascinates me when you see people who are willing to wear costume jewelry, like I said, but also I respect that. The same way I would respect somebody who wants to wear knockoff, kicks or something. You got fake shoes, you've got a fake name brand designer purse, right? Now, how often does a woman really carry a Coach purse to make it matter? If somebody came up to you and said, I can sell you this Coach, uh, but you didn't want it to resell, you wanted it for yourself to look cool, right? Somebody says, I have a fake Coach purse. It looks exactly like the original one, it's made the exact same way. And it's half the price or a quarter of the price. A lot of people are going to jump on that. And I'll tell you what's been happening. If you haven't noticed the commercials, I've seen them personally on YouTube and elsewhere about eBay. I think they're from eBay, but I think Amazon has commercials too, saying that we work really hard to make sure that the products you buy are authentic. And it literally shows a scientist with a microscope looking at like sneakers. Like, give me a fucking break. You have no idea what's going on with these products. They're I stopped buying from Amazon as soon as third-party sellers came into the play, and this will all become apparent. It's all relevant. Uh, as far as the what I'm talking about with confidence, uh, a lot of folks are more than happy to sell you complete garbage because they know that all that matters to people is that they feel like they have the right product, not that they can notice if they're using the product. You know what I mean? And in other words, they don't know if the product's shitty. They just assume it fell apart. Like I said, I got a couple of pairs of Nikes. My buddy gave me that he found. He got it from a friend or something. I have size 14 feet, so they're when somebody finds them, they're like, oh shit, Carpoop could use these. And yeah, I wore them each for like a month, and they totally took a shit on me. And thinking back, I think maybe they weren't even real Nikes. But there's also part of me that knows that Nike has gone completely downhill. But there's always that in the back of your mind. And when you find out that most of the shit you buy online is coming from third party sellers who don't give a shit anyway, there's no real recourse. Sure, you can maybe get a refund, but is it worth your time if you can just go out locally and buy it a little cheaper? So I'm kind of a local buyer now. And, but I'm not a name brand guy. Um, there's another type of confidence that comes from just being yourself, and that's a little more difficult to ascertain and to obtain and to really define with people. That's the one thing I would like to share with people out there. You know, cut through the bullshit, right? All the videos I've made, all the discussions I've had about at least the ones that have to do with personal, understanding and self-help, that kind of thing, which I kind of poke fun at because self-help really is just help if somebody else is giving it to you. And I don't want to be that guy to say this is a good way to live life. But there are certain things that I've learned that I find beneficial that I want to share with you. And that's why I do often live casts, not just to share ideas, but to get ideas from you too. And tonight, that specific idea has to do with that confidence that we all want to have, regardless of whether we're into name brand shit, regardless of whether we're wearing costume jewelry, regardless of who we are, whether we're black, white, brown, male, female, in between. I don't give a shit what you do, who you are, what you look like on the outside. What matters to me as a human being, talking to other human beings, is what kind of a person are you? Um, are you doing your own thing? Or are you worried about the world's problems? Are you obsessed with how you feel pushed down like a victim, right? And when people don't exude confidence, when they feel like, when they act like victims, a lot of folks get really bothered by it. And this is something I've analyzed really closely over the last few years. When I see people who seem unempathetic, who don't seem to care about people's plights and arguments, the people who make fun of protesters, for example, who are protesting for legitimate causes, and they point out a specific protester who's looking like a complete moron and having an emotional breakdown, you start, how can you deny that some people really do take it over the top? They really go too far with things, and they make a situation or an idea their own. They identify with the kind of bullshit that they think is important. They identify with the politics of their time. And that's identity politics, my friend. That is what identity politics is all about. It's about folks wanting to stand for themselves and say, I think that this should be changed. I think that we should change the way that society has operated for however long in order to make it the way we want it. And there is required a certain amount of confidence in doing that. Required a certain amount of confidence to stand up to the system, as you want to call it, and say, I'm going to change this. I'm going to fix this problem. And then we find out that maybe that confidence is a little misplaced. Think about environmental causes. Um, the confidence people have with standing up against big oil. I've always been a big supporter of that shit until I found out what electric cars, how they really pollute. The problems we really have with electric vehicles, with making the batteries, acquiring the lithium, the grid that's required to support these things. They say in California they'd have to change the grid like 5 times more grid basically to if everyone went electric. And so we kind of have this like cutthroat all or none attitude. You're either all for driving a big truck with gas or you're all for electric Priuses. No, it doesn't have to be that way. People don't have to be so simple minded and trapped in their own paradigm, I guess. Um, I usually do this at about 15 minutes. I'm going to say hello to everybody who came to the chat. I want to say I appreciate you all for coming. For what it's worth, I appreciate you taking the time. I can't read every comment, but I will. As much as I can, like answer questions. Jackass Whiskey, good to see you, my friend. Made some spaghetti, huh? Nice. I'm glad you caught the live stream. Zachary, what's up, my friend? We got Forest Fern, Zach, Jackass Whiskey. What do we got? Oh, I missed one. Dragon 72. I prefer costume jewelry because I easily find cooler stuff. That's another good point. You can find a lot better costume jewelry because you can get such a variety of jewels. Um, yeah, yeah. You said chicks like jewelry. I like jewelry too. I've always been weird like that. Call me, call me a hippie, whatever. I don't care. Um, I just don't believe. I wanted to make the point because before I didn't. De Beers, if you're not aware, De Beers made diamonds worthless basically by dominating the diamond market. They found a huge diamond mine in South Africa, and then they closed it up and decided to wait and not mine them all. And once they did, they held on the side to make what they call like artificial scarcity. Basically, they're making it seem like diamonds are actually worthy and expensive. The truth is that a really good crystal can be even better than some of the diamonds you're finding on the market. The funny thing is, I have this diamond ring right here. This was actually my engagement ring, and I decided to use it. My wedding ring is actually tungsten carbide. It's just a plain tungsten rounded ring. But this one was the engagement ring. I bought us each one, back when we thought diamonds were worth buying. I don't know what we were thinking. It was like 2004 or something. And this one had two diamonds missing. And back in the day, I had some missing teeth. And so I thought, well, that's okay. Okay, it kind of reflects my face. But about 5 days ago, I was sitting here on the weekend and I was like, I'm gonna fix these. It was actually a week ago. I said, I'm gonna fix this, and I went through my whole box of crystals I got, and I found two perfect fucking crystals that fit in this ring out of all the hundreds of ones I got from that. I mean, it was a garage sale from like somebody collected beads and costume jewelry for like decades. Some of the shit was from like the 40s. And so I found the perfect size crystals and I fit them in there. And honestly, you can't see shit from here, but you wouldn't even be able to tell which ones are replaced because they look better than the diamonds. And it's just crazy to think that, people are so obsessed with what diamonds are when actually the real value of scarcity is actually artificially created. That's always blown me away. So continuing on here. Um, Yes. Oh, Jackass donated $20. Here's the 20. Buy a diamond for your wife. After I just got done talking about how fucked up diamonds are, I will, because actually the crystal that we have, uh, the crystals in my rings are probably worth less than that, and I'm more than happy with it. I'm sure she would be too. I appreciate that, my friend. Every donation is awesome. I don't know. I enable monetization because people have said I can't donate. I don't know how to. Um, I appreciate, I appreciate it, but don't expect it. So thank you. Infinite growth, not intimate. I agree with that. Dragona says my man doesn't work either. He's got a sugar mama. We're polyamorous, so I don't know what hierarchy. Yeah, I don't know about that one either. Hierarchy is kind of a ridiculous notion, isn't it? But we have my wife was my sugar mama for a really long time, and she still is. My wife is a server, or a waitress, if you want to call it a waitress. Uh, she works at the local steakhouse. They're very popular. The only one in the state, There's only like, I think, two of them now. One out east of here, but maybe they're the only one left now. But they're, a popular local steakhouse with regulars, and she gets paid well, and Washington has a good minimum wage, so therefore other wages are good. She gets paid more than that, and she gets tips. And so she gets kind of a manager slash tip wage. She's been there for 20 years. She's earned it, so I'm not bragging. But yeah, she's taken care of me for a long time. Even as a carpenter, I make far less than she does. Even if I were to work full time, right now we work like 4 days a week, but I still would not make as much as her. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. If one partner makes more, that's great. It's extra money, but it can be hard for a dude. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But there's nothing wrong with it if you like being a sugar mama. So hey, you do you, right? All right, where was I in the comments here? Um, Jackass says, I'm trying to be a better person. It's hard road. I've got a lot of demons. Oh, brother, man. So do I. And it's hard because I don't want to share those demons because then it just lets people down. I feel like I have to always be on my best, like kind of be on the up and up because I don't want to go out and make a video where I'm complaining about life. But I have my problems too. And all I can do is try to help others through theirs. But I don't know, there's part of me who cares about helping other people, and there's part of me that just says, God, leave me alone. Like, I'm not a fucking psychiatrist, right? But it's hard to explain. I guess we all do the best we can. So, anyway. Eric, it's good to see you, friend. Eric L., it's good to see you. Starling2222 says, Carpo, do you think a solar flare will send this planet back to the 1800s? Oof. Yes, I do. And I believe it's going to happen in the next 20 years. I would say it might happen in this solar cycle, but actually it might not be till the next one. But I have no idea, but I'm guessing it's going to be soon. We have a major CME with, at least once every, like, what do they say, like 200 years, 150, I think it's 150 years. And the Carrington event was 1859, and that literally lit telegraph lines on fire. And that was before we had like electricity everywhere. If you're aware of that, I don't need to tell you the story. And if you're not aware of it, I'm not going to sit here and go into it. Let's just say that the sun could set us back a long ways. I would highly recommend people have a stockpile, or emergency supplies, basically. Some gasoline, a generator, things like that. You know, um, Ground currents could cause major problems. Put it this way, if the power goes out for a long period of time and you go outside and you see an aurora borealis anywhere south of the 45th parallel, you can guess it's a solar storm that took out the grid. And just hope and pray that it didn't destroy those transformers or long transmission lines, which would lead us to chaos. And now I'm getting into doomerism. I'm not going to go there, but I'll go there if you want to. But yeah, to answer your question, yes, I do. Um, Oops, got to fix my stupid tripod here. Kapooks. Hey, Carpo77, it's me, Kapooks from Finland. It's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you all. And Hot Retarded Chicks is here. Diamonds, baby. We could easily make it, Logic says we could easily make enough food for everyone, but we don't, to create scarcity and profit. Well, we actually have enough food for everyone. I want to disagree with you. I feel like I always disagree with you, and that's not the case here. This is specific to food. I was frustrated that we couldn't get food to the people that I thought, should get it. The people who are starving, right? Now, I worked in a soup kitchen for several months and on community service, and talking to homeless people and the people that work there, I found out a lot of people don't want the food. They're too stubborn to take it. And that was a thing in the US. There are people who don't have food, but they're unwilling to take food from people. It was really crazy to find out. But when it comes to like war zones or extremely war torn regions, there are some dictatorships and horrible leaders and as well as cartels that won't allow emergency aid or food into these areas because they literally want to starve the people out to make them stay on their side. Because, of course, if the West is giving you free food, you're going to be on their side. It's extremely complicated. The logistics can be extremely complicated as well as the politics. So I think, honestly, from what I read, we have enough to feed 10 billion people on Earth if we did the farmland properly. The problem is that we grow a lot of crops we shouldn't. We grow a lot of alfalfa. And people say, well, we shouldn't just grow crops to feed animals. We should just grow crops to feed people. But what I learned is that actually a lot of these places, crops that feed people won't grow. It's only the crops that feed animals that will grow. So they utilize those for the cow feed and whatnot. And that meat being as strong in nutrients and rich in vitamins and proteins as it is, actually ends up costing us less water than, say, a lot of the vegetables and wheats and stuff we eat. I don't know. It's complicated. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on it, but I'm just saying I'm the devil's advocate on that one. But then again, I support nuclear power too, so I'm kind of a bad guy all around to some, but I believe what I've learned, I guess. Where was I? Bill Tannen, hey, or Biff, sorry, Biff Tannen. God damn this stupid tripod. He says, Carpo, hey, good to see you, my friend. See, what time is it? It's 7:15, so that was 4 minutes ago. I'm going to try to catch up to the comments really quickly, and then I'll continue on my point here. Emerald, good to see you. Life is about constantly improving, but everyone has their own pace. Truth. Casey, good to see you. Okay, Al, good to see you too. We know what we need to do, yet ignore it. Yes, we do, and I like that. Keith Tarby, good to see you, my friend. Heart Retarded Chicks talks about the kill shot. You're probably talking about the sun. Yep, it's gonna be fucked up. It's gonna happen, dude. Jackass says, Carpo, did you ever listen to Art Bell and miss falling asleep to the radio show? It was a long time ago. I do. I used to listen to Art Bell. I used to listen to. Um, I really, really liked. I hate to admit it. I listened to George Noory and Art Bell on their radio. That pretty much all of those series from what was it called? Dude, I can't believe I forgot what it was called. Pretty popular about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 10 years ago. God, time goes by so fast. But George Snorri, I called him because I'm always snoring listening to him. But I look, I was probably one of the most intense conspiracy slash aliens slash unknown type people that you would meet back in the early 2000s, late 90s. I read a book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper that talked about all these government conspiracies, and I got really obsessed with this stuff. And this was right around the time when the internet was really taking off. When, sure, the internet was around through the 90s, but it wasn't until about 2000 when it really took off. When I was able to download entire files and shit from torrent files from like Casa or from, no, the torrent files came later. Before that, it was just downloading shit off like Napster and whatnot. But they had all kinds of like everything you could imagine, right? And it was being shared before the government or anyone else knew what was even going on, and no copyright or identification system. And you could down. I have entire files, the random shit, not just pathetic shit like the Anarchist Cookbook, but like fucking 400 survival guides and everything you can imagine that was readily available because people wanted to share these things. And oh man, I guess I shouldn't even get into that topic, but uh, information is very powerful. Let's just put it that way. Chris says, I didn't get a notice when you fired up the live chat. I'm sorry. I started it like 20 minutes before. I said before what I want to do is maybe do this every Sunday or Thursday. Maybe I'll just make it a plan to do Sunday school. That's what I wanted to do is kind of make a mock joke Sunday school with Carpo thing and just make so you'd remember the term Sunday and do it at Sunday at 7:19. So I'll tell you what, I'll see you all back here at 7:19 on Sunday night next week. And if enough people tune in, then and I'll post it after I'm done with this one, so there will be the reminder and all that shit. I'm not sure how to do it, and I'm not good about that. I'm not good about planning ahead. I like to just kind of let shit happen. So, um, where was I? See if anybody else is joining in. We got Eric. Yes, thank you, Eric. Coast to Coast AM. That's exactly what I was thinking about. I knew somebody would point it out. Mark Neff, he says, nice to see an early live. I'm glad my MO passed recreational weed. Missouri? Yeah, I didn't know that. Let me just be honest. To us on the West Coast, when somebody else passes weed laws, we just don't even pay attention because we've had it for so long, we've become spoiled. But I do have a reverence for that. I'm so glad that other states are finally being able to pull that shit off, because it's a good money maker for the state. And honestly, going out and buying $50 or $60 ounces is great. I love it. Um, Logic mentioned the meat thing. I said, yeah, we'll have to go into the meat thing in more detail later. I didn't know this. I was, I always thought, I'm not a vegetarian, but I thought that meat was more harmful to the environment. Then I started learning about the benefits that hoofed creatures had here in the West and how reintroducing cattle and letting them free range actually spreads and breaks up the seeds in the soil and allows them to grow, therefore helps the grasslands. So having cattle that are free range roaming actually is beneficial to the environment and to us. We've been taught so much bullshit, you guys. I mean, you know that. And all of us get really stuck in our stupid bullshit little bubbles, whether they're liberal or conservative or religious or atheist. We've got to step back, and really just say, man, holy shit, I don't know fucking shit about my environment. I don't really understand how these things operate. We've been told a lot of things that are lies, not in a conspiracy oriented way, but just in a reality way. Like, wow, this world's crazier than I thought, kind of thing, you know? If you give up on the wonder and you start to assume you know what's going on, that's when you find out you don't know fucking shit. It's just always the way. It's always like that. So, I need to finish the comments here, so I'm sorry about that. West Coast, Keith says Sunday night, 7:19. Yep, that would be it. West Coast for sure. Eric, how was your weekend, Carpo? Says Eric. Yes, 7:19 p.m. Sunday. Yes, I had a pretty good weekend, I guess, but I didn't do much, and I wanted to talk about confidence, so I need to get to that, and I think that's a great segue. This weekend, I didn't do a whole lot. I pretty much sat on my fucking ass and watched TV, YouTube videos, and stupid shit. And I found myself scrolling, doing all the things I tell myself not to do. But my wife and I talk about this constantly. Like, my wife and I have been together 25 years this year. So, yay, congratulations to us, right? Send us our wedding gifts. No, we haven't been married for 25 years, but together. We met in 98 and moved in together. And she is the love of my life. I mean, this woman is amazing. And we've had such an interesting experience together. I helped her raise her son from the time he was 3. He's my son as far as I'm concerned. We had 2 other kids. They're 9 or 10 and 13. And the time just goes by so fast. And you start to look back on your own life and be like, what have I done with it, right? I haven't kept up with the Joneses. Oh no, I didn't make millions. Okay, I didn't become famous. And for me personally, I don't want to be famous. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the average person, if you ask them, the young people especially, that's what they want. They think that's going to make them happy. Dude, fame is a fucking nasty sword, double-edged sword. You're fucked either way. And the thing about wealth, because I'm not going to sit here, I had to bite my tongue a little. I don't want to sit here and tell you that money is bullshit, that it's not going to make you happy, because I've never been rich. And likely, most of you have never been rich. I can't tell you how many times I've sat and thought to myself, if somebody just gave me $1 million, it would change my life so immensely, and in turn, I would be able to change so many lives. No, not some, you know, running some nonprofit or starting a movement or something, but literally just buying a piece of land, you know, and outright, and then being able to put up a bunch of tiny homes and stuff on it and have like a kind of a KOA type thing, right? Where people just come and they camp and you tell them about nature. Because to me, the revolution of the future is going to be getting back to nature and really acknowledging that we all come from this place. No matter how spiritual a person calls themselves, no matter how in touch with the world or the universe they call themselves, if you spend more time in your room than you have in the woods, and I mean, of course, we all have, because I don't mean that literally by actual physical time. Most people are at home more often. But if you have never spent hours wandering around in the middle of nature with no trails, you're missing out. And you're going to completely miss out on not just nature itself, but what it speaks to you when you're out there. Having these connections can be so fucking amazing. I mean, it's like nothing else you've ever experienced when you're laying under the stars and seeing the universe, hearing all the sounds around you in complete darkness. There are some places you can't do that. Might fear bears or wolves, but don't. Most places you're fine in the U.S. We live in Washington State, so yeah, sure, there's creatures out there, but I think that's what scares people off. They think actually bears might attack them, or coyotes, or wolves. I mean, the chances are so rare. But here's the thing: I feel I would be more fearful to walk down a street in a modern ghetto or city than I would to walk through the woods in the middle of the night in complete darkness. I actually feel safe out there, at least in the lower 48. You go up north, you're going to hit some grizzly turf, and also, as long as you make enough noise, most people leave you alone, or most creatures leave you alone, rather. But people, on the other hand, that just attracts them. So, it's kind of scary out there at times. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about that, but Chris says some of the founding fathers warned of the two-party system. Yes, they did indeed. Indeed. Kapuk says eating bugs saved the planet. Well, bugs are important to the planet, and the fact is, eating animals or bugs is really no different to the planet itself, because the planet will be fine. It's just us that will fade away. So, I don't know. Eating bugs might help, or it might hinder. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out it causes cancer down the line, just like anything else. Jackass says he was using THC gummies and had a bad few weeks. Scared of marijuana. Well, I don't eat any Dude, I've been smoking pot for fucking 30 years, 40 years out of a bong. Always. It's just my thing. Take a bong hit, I'm good to go. If I'd start taking food, edibles, I can't moderate it properly. It lasts too long, takes too long to kick in. I don't do edibles very often. I've made entire pans of brownies and fucking gummies and usually caramels that I've just thrown out because I just don't end up eating them because it's not maintainable. I like to smoke. Flour, especially. Yeah. Keith says we get stuck believing what mainstream wants us to believe. You have to break the cycle. Congrats on the 25 years. Thank you, and props for giving her props in your video. That's a great shout out. I would love to give all my family a shout out. There's two reasons I don't ever talk about my family. Number one, I know my wife's not wanting to be on camera and stuff. It's not her thing, and I respect that. And my kids, they would probably like to be on camera, but I refuse to exploit my kids just to say, oh, here's my kids. It just seems cheesy. But I have a few videos where I've been out with them. Just, you know, I did post one time, and I actually had a troll who would, like, reposted it and started giving me, I can't even get into that, but it just made me realize you just don't post your kids' shit online. I can't stand family vloggers who share all their family shit. It's pretty personal. I don't think people should do that shit. So, that's my personal opinion. But Chris says the World Economic Forum wants you to eat bugs. Yeah, they've definitely mentioned that. And I'll be honest. Look, bugs are high in protein. They're considered. I just watched a thing like a half hour ago. Actually, they were talking about how they're considered a delicacy in some places, grasshoppers and whatnot. But yeah, I don't want to eat bugs either. I want to eat cow. I want to eat a steak. I like beef and chicken even more. I think, and nobody's gonna stop that. I think that humans are meant to eat meat and meant to eat vegetables and roots and everything else. We're omnivores, so it is what it is. There's no battle between vegans and and meat eaters. It shouldn't be that way. It should be just eat what you eat and realize that no matter what you eat, it's still alive. Everything you eat is alive, and no human has a choice to decide whether one thing is more alive than another. That's important to remember. So if you're ever arguing with a vegan, you always just say this: okay, well, do you eat plants? Yes, they're alive. Okay, do you realize that there are insects that live on these plants that you might not actually clean off completely? So you're eating not just the plants, but the insects on the plants. Oh, well, that's okay. It's like, okay, what makes an insect different than an animal? And there is no answer. There's more of them, or because they're colder blooded, or they're, they have a chitin, for their shells instead of, well, it makes no sense. Veganism as a moral ideal makes no sense because it doesn't take into account the fact that you're always eating something that's alive, and you're deciding what's not food, not nature, right? Complicated shit. I don't know. Just had to get my thought out on that. Jackass says I'm wealthy because I live below my means. Dude, I'm the same way, my friend. I save pain, every penny I can, and I try not to spend on stupid shit. Yes, I might buy I'd buy beer. Okay, I'll buy some weed. Yeah, sometimes I'm late on a bill and have to pay a fee. Feel stupid about it. I pay money, but I don't have a car payment. I drive an old fucking Honda. I think it's important to save all the money we can, or at least just not spend it, because there's nothing worth really buying out there. I mean, there's so much garbage. It's just a fact, right? Eric says, my dad's giving me 10 grand on Monday, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Get mine with that little cushion, start with the camping trip. Dude, that's a great question, and I'd be more than willing to help you with that 10 grand. Because I would say you should send at least 8 grand of it to me, because I'm broke, and then I'll put the rest into a special account just for you. No, I'm kidding. If your dad's giving you 10 grand, that's hard for me to even respond to, because I don't know if that's just like a one-time thing, or if you're just wealthy and it's just like a kick down or whatnot. But if I was getting 10 grand from someone, and I'm assuming you're younger, I would personally take that money. So hear me out. Take that $10,000, assuming you got to pay up. Make sure you pay off your bills to get up to date, so you don't have late fees and all that bullshit. Once that's taken care of, take like 10% of it, or whatever you feel like you can afford. Buy silver. Buy some silver coins or silver bars. Then take a chunk of it, and if you have enough, buy a piece of land. A small piece of land, dude. Even for like a couple $1,000s. I'm telling you, land is appreciating so much. It's so much better to invest in land than anything else right now. And I'm saying this because I know I should do that. I've got, any money I've stored away, I should be putting towards land. But I just feel like I don't make a lot of money. I'm not rich. I'm not a YouTuber, right, that's making millions. I work a normal job, so I pay what I can. And I bought some silver years ago. It was like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I guess. And I still have it. It went up, then it went down. Now it's back up to where it was when I bought it. But I just keep hanging on to it and hoping that one day, at least it will stick around and I'll have something if the economy collapses. But 10 grand goes pretty damn quickly. I'll say that right now. Eric, $5. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the donation. You're too kind, my brother. Jackass says he's a bear magnet. Yeah, you said you've been 3 times. I ran into a black bear, but I was actually telling my son I'm going to be quiet, so I run into a bear at Glacier Park. And I come around the corner, and there's a black bear right in the trail, like fucking 100 feet up in front of me. It's like, oh, shit. It was great. I sat there, and then my son behind me is like, hey, bear! And he screams, and it runs off. I was like, dude, I was trying to get a photo. And he was in the right. I was in the wrong. Because I'm sitting there like, I wanted to get a photo, dude. You scared him off. But I wasn't worried. I mean, I had a loaded 357 Smith & Wesson in my pouch. I mean, I go armed. But I didn't want to have to shoot a bear, of course. And I didn't think it was going to charge. I should have had bear spray. But a gun is a lot more reliable. And he took off. And no big deal, no harm and no foul. But that was only the second black bear I've seen. It wasn't a grizzly, but the first black bear I was driving, and I saw him run across the road in front of me. And that was pretty cool, too. So I'm going through the comments. I'm not staring at you. I'm not looking at you. Don't worry. 3 encounters were jogging, camping, and fishing. I believe that with jogging, or with the fishing anyway, the jogging, they might have just thought you were running at them. Hierarchy. Yes, Zach, you're correct. Keith says, what are your thoughts on changing actual genetics by consuming a drug? Example, what occurs in brain chemistry when mushrooms are infested? I'm guessing what you mean is ingested or infested. Okay. I don't think that drugs change your genetics at all, to be honest. But I do believe that they might contribute in your epigenetics. Epigenetics are kind of, they've been a theory, but they're not a theory. It's how your genes change through your environment. It's been proven at this point, and you can affect your future generations by acting a certain way, eating a certain food, having a certain amount of stress, certain hormones in your body, and this will be passed on to your offspring to help them cope with the environment that you grew up in. And we don't know enough about it, but let's just say that there have been people who couldn't eat certain foods because their parents ate too much of that food. It had something to do with the potato famine. I don't recall the story exactly, but pretty crazy shit. So I think that everything affects our genetics. Mark says, why do vegans try to make their food taste like meat if plants are so good? That was an excellent question, Mark. One I've been asking myself for a long time. They literally make like hamburger patties and stuff. I can tell you why, and I understand why. It's because they know meat is good. They're not denying that meat is delicious. That's why they make fake bacon and stuff. It's that vegans really feel guilty about eating meat, and I get that. I do. Nobody wants to see animals slaughtered. If you've ever gone into a slaughterhouse or seen how a lot of animals are taken care of, and it's horrendous, and it's hard to not want to walk away from it. So I got to get up for a minute here. Had to stand up for a moment. Get a little bit more juice in the old vape. Maybe pass a little bomb. So I wanted to show you guys something. No, it's not what you think. We're talking about confidence, okay? Oh, that's funny. I found this other bag of costume jewelry, a whole bunch of it, right? And we were talking about how people will wear anything. This is a bag of crystals. I had a whole bunch, like Swarovski crystals. I've got like fucking thousands of them that I got from this garage sale. And I was thinking about how, I guess it's funny. When I was younger, even today, I'll still put these crystals on a necklace and wear them myself. I'm that guy that would wear chokers somewhat back in the day, like hemp chokers anyway. I mentioned this. I wore skirts. When I was 16, I was confident enough to wear my hair in pigtail braids down the side, and a big white skirt, and then a tank top that was a belly shirt that was cut off. Now this was, mind you, the early 90s, late 80s, right? So I could get away with it. But thinking back to it, I thought, it's funny. I was never, it was never a sexual thing, or, I was never gay. It was just, I was confident enough I was told embrace your feminine side. So I'm like, cool. And I did. And I thought about this, and I've thought, as I've grown up and I've changed who I am, and I've become Carpo, for example, it was just a nickname that was given to me. I gave it to myself, rather. It was a dice game called 10,000 that was turned into a pot smoking game where you take a hit every 1,000 points, and the game is to get to 10,000. And you're supposed to pick the first name that comes to mind. The first word that comes to your mind is your zonk name. So I just said Carpo. That was that. Years later, going to events and concerts and festivals and shit, I would meet people named Josh at almost every fucking event I went to. was like, Jesus Christ, every single time, Josh. I was like, what? Huh? No, I'm talking to the other Josh. So I was like, all right, that's it. Last time. I'm going to just use my Carpo nickname because it'll be easier. And from then on, I was Carpo, and that was around the time I started making my YouTube channel. So I was like, I'll just use Carpo for this too. It's easy. And it was years later that they named one of the moons of Jupiter Carpo. This was after I came up with my name Carpo, but it also means in Greek to or Latin to seize or grab hold of. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like to hold. It's a planet, whatever. But really, it was just a way to identify myself. And sorry to get off track, but the whole point was I was trying to. There was a point where I was like, I had to be confident enough in myself to decide to take a nickname and say, I'm cool enough to take a nickname, right? But even making a YouTube channel, I had to feel like I'm cool enough to talk to people. And when I say cool, I just mean that people give a shit what I have to say. I've seen so many people come and go with YouTube. They'll start a channel, they'll have a few subscribers, then they'll feel really awkward and they'll start making all their videos about how nobody's watching them or somebody said something bad about them. And it reminds me of like way back when I started and I would get bothered by people's troll comments and stuff. Nowadays, I can make a video on YouTube, say what I have to say, other people respond and disagree, and I just don't give a mother flying fuck, you know? I mean, I care if there are people that are subscribers that I know. So if it's a subscriber that I recognize their screen name, then I care. But it's just kind of like it is with friends and family. If it's a random, strange, a distant cousin, you don't give a fuck about their opinion. But if it's your brother, sister, mom, dad, whatever, you care, And so I think that that's kind of where I've learned so much about coping with other people's criticism over the years. I just wanted to kind of share that in a live cast, and I guess I haven't really got to that point yet because I don't really know how to even talk about it. But really, this is an open forum for any discussion. But my main point here is to just there's so much energy put into giving a shit what other people think or worrying about what other people are doing. So this can be religious folks that worry that other people decide to get married when they're gay or smoke pot when they shouldn't smoke it because it's against the law. Like these moral Karens out there who think they know what's best for everyone. It's just a waste of time. Waste of time not just to be those people, but also to engage with them. But sometimes you have no choice. And that's when authenticity comes into the picture, I guess. Not letting other people's bullshit get to you. You know what I mean? Eric, we got Crazy Colombian. He says it's too expensive to live in South Florida. Oregon coast. Yeah, dude, it's fucking expensive in Oregon too, dude. Oregon and Washington. Washington's one of the most expensive states. It's crazy. Where were we on the comments? Blackberry Kush, yum. Eric, Crazy Colombian, McFright, Mike Fright. I can't talk to the camera, says Jackass. Well, that's okay. Not everyone can. If you can't talk to the camera, just try downloading a simple recording app on your phone, and you can record on there, and then just upload it to anywhere. The truth is, we all do. I make videos and I feel stupid about them and don't upload them a lot of the time. I mean, at least a third of the videos I make when I'm out and about, probably half of them I never upload or even share. They end up getting deleted, and I think, that's part of my history. I should share that, but I don't want to come across as a complete fucking idiot. But then I'm like, maybe I already do. It's just like being human. And it requires a certain amount of confidence to sit in front of the camera. And I guess that's why I continue to do it. It reminds me that if I'm not authentic to my audience, as small as y'all are, and I respect that, because I don't want a big audience. I'm not saying that in a negative way. If I wasn't authentic and people started calling me out and saying I'm lying or selling them some bullshit, Like I could, right? Selling VPNs or start putting, some bullshit like sponsorships or selling you on crypto, whatever it might be. Like dudes do this all the time. And I thought, it's so fucked up that so much authenticity has been lost because people just want to make a quick buck and don't realize what it costs them in actual currency. And when I say currency, I'm not talking money, I'm talking about respect. It's everything. I don't remember who posted it earlier, but it was like a YouTube post that said something like, subscribers are the new currency. Basically an audience or an internet audience is the new currency, and it's fucking true. When I started this channel, I didn't intend to do it to make money, and I still don't intend to make money through the channel itself. I do it to stay in touch with people and meet people that are like-minded online, so that when I do come out with a product or start selling my jewelry or something else, which I've got so much stuff. I've got this huge pile of mushrooms here that I'm turning into like wall art and all these necklaces, and I'm like, it's so hard for me to market, but that's beside the point. That I want to be able to sell these things. I want to be able to make like a live cast like this where I'm like, okay, I'm selling this and this, and in my brain organize all the numbers, get the info from people, and do what I need to do to make A turn into B. But using the internet and having an audience isn't about selling things, is the point. It's about building trust in people, so if they did buy something from you, they would know its quality. They would know you stand behind it. That's a tricky one, because so many people sell garbage products out there. It's so fucked up. Yeah, I don't know what to think about it. Infected Chris, good to see you, my friend. I'm glad to see you here. It's always good to see a new face. Chris has been a subscriber for a long time. He says he do my podcast, and it took me a couple months to get over the fear of talking to my mic. Yeah, that's a tricky one, and the less you do it, the harder it is. Oh, he says Boston. Yeah, expensive is the norm there. Yeah, Boston is probably expensive, and I would imagine most major cities are. Portland can be pretty spendy. I wouldn't say it'll probably be that way for very long because it's gonna fall apart once all the businesses leave. Because I watched a show this morning about this guy who had been broken into 13 times, and I'm guessing most of them in the last few years. This little corner like convenience store, and it's just sad. So many people are getting fucked over living down there, and I feel like society in America, we need to stand up for ourselves, which means that business owners are going to have to be permitted to take the law into their own hands and be able to take full force. I'm not a violent person, but I do believe in violence to protect your own property and family. And if a person owns a business and they live out of that business, that makes it harder for criminals to break in. But at the same time, most business owners don't live in their business, so they have to trust that the city is going to take care of that. So you pay higher taxes to run a business where you're renting a separate building than you would renting a business out of your house. Because of that, you expect that those extra dollars are going to go to have a police force that will protect your property. The fact is that thieves are everywhere, criminals are everywhere. It's not just a Portland problem, but I want to get the fuck out of here. I live in Vancouver, right across the bridge from Portland, and it's a horrendous place down there. Um, but it's not, of course, as bad as these guys on the right would have you make it, to where it's like this, explosions and riots every night or something. It's just that it's just sad that society is kind of falling by the wayside. I just don't know what to think about it. You know what I mean? I'm depressed with the way things are going, my friends, and I'd really love to hear any input on how you think that we could improve upon the system we have. I went to a good friend's house the other day. Some of you, I mentioned my friend Scoey the other day that makes the hats. Well, his brother has brain cancer. I think it's glioma. He has some kind of a benign tumor that he can't get rid of. So he's been on chemotherapy for a while now. I'm not going to talk about different treatments because I have mixed feelings on all of this, and I'll get to that in a moment. But we went to see him, and he had these electrodes on his head and this little, like, thing he carried, an electrical thing that was supposed to stimulate and try to get rid of it. It's one of the ones where it's between the lobes of the brain. They don't think it's going to go away. So basically, they're stuck with it. And at least that's what they're told. And I had to kind of, try to recommend mushrooms like, reishi and lion's mane. He said he's already taking lion's mane, and I'm not saying that they're a cure, but you don't want to recommend natural stuff to somebody who's taking all kinds of shit already and doesn't want to hear it anymore because most people rely on the pharmaceutical industry to take care of them. But, thinking about all of that, it's like I have a lot of mixed feelings about the pharmaceutical industry itself. I mean, let's just say I've mentioned this a million times. I'm writing a book about it, and I do not trust them at all whatsoever. A lot has come out, a lot of damning evidence over the last decade or so about many recalls and how they allow things to go through without really giving a damn. And I'll be honest, I don't really remember where I was going with this, but there was a point that was beyond pharma. Just had to go out of camera for just a moment there. I have a couple more points to make here. Scoey's bro. Too bad for Scoey's bro. Yes. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that, Eric. Yeah, Scoey's bro is bad. Okay, so not bad. He's a good guy. Uh, he's doing bad because he has to deal with this, and he's taking these steroids, and he's swollen up, and they don't know what to do. They started like a GoFundMe. They have all these family drama going on because of it. He just bought like a truck, and they bought this property. We went to visit him yesterday. We got back last night. He lives about 3 hours south. So me and my bros, Scully, me and our bro Kevin drove us all down there in his truck, and we had a great trip. Stopped on the river, talked about life. It was, it's nice to hang out with bros. I mean, we grew up together, and went to visit. I finally got to see Doug, and it was weird because I'd had a dream about him like a month ago that I met him in his house and hugged him, and I was like, bro. But when I finally saw him, he was just not doing so sick that I couldn't even like hug him. It was like it was hard. But we hung out there for like a few hours and just talked about stuff. He had deer on his property and like all these wild turkeys. He just lives in a really nice place, and you can just tell that he's bummed out that he can't deal with doing the life he wanted to do, right? And the thing is, my father died when I was 15 from cancer, and he had carcinoma in the lung, and it spread to his brain eventually. But he, at the end, was scrawny, on chemo, in basically hospice care at home, bedridden in the living room, and he was just so out of it. And cancer just kicked his ass. And he was a letter carrier, mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, and till the very end, until he didn't even function anymore, he was working. He was one of those guys, and I would probably be the same way. But let's say I was 14, 15. I was 92. So it's been 21 years, I guess. Wait, 31 years. I'm sorry. Oh, fuck. Time goes by fast. 31 years this year. So yeah, 30 years or so. And when you watch your own dad die, that's hard enough. Watching your brother die, I mean, that's unexpected, especially at their age. And you think about that kind of brevity of life. like no matter how well things are going, anything could happen tomorrow. You know, just fall apart your whole life, but you make the best of it because that's all you can do. And I guess that's why, talking about this video originally being about, like, I guess confidence, it's more of like I'm really trying to tackle the idea of arrogance in life. And I think that humans would be so much better and happier to be humble. Humble to their friends, humble to their family, realizing that they're not the shit, that they might just be assholes, or they might just not be as fucking phenomenal as they think. You know what I mean? And not trying to always be in control. The control freak, that's a man or woman thing. There's always somebody who wants to be in charge. And I think that we're so much happier when we don't try to play the hero, when we don't try to play the one who knows what's best, and really talk things through with each other. And that might sound kind of ridiculous to some because a lot of people have never tried to do that. They've never tried to have interactions with people that are actually civil and respectful. And yeah, it's complicated shit. Life's difficult. Like Chris says, the most rewardable, yeah, rewarding thing is helping others. Exactly. Sire. Hi, Adam. Zachary says a lack of confidence can be debilitating. It can. And the question people need to ask themselves is, do they have a lack of confidence for what reason? Is it because they're just not being honest with themselves, that they've actually done good things, but they just are kind of not able to assess that? Or could it be that maybe they've just never done anything worth a damn? And that's hard to have empathy for. The example I want to give is I've worked, I've sacrificed a lot in my life for the things that I wanted. Sacrificed partying for stability. Sacrificed going out and just traveling for settling down and being able to actually accrue a normal, a work history in life. So somebody else who decides to either go out and travel their whole life, or maybe they're a drug addict, totally different things. But then they want to be stable. They have no background in normalcy within society, and they pay the price for the fun that they had because they have no experience in any, say, trades when they get older. I feel like some of us sacrifice earlier so we can have more fun later. Like, for example, for me, learning carpentry was kind of circumstantial. But the fact that I know these things allows me to build houses, take care of my own shit, fix things when they get broken. And I'm grateful for it, extremely. And I guess the point is that a lot of people don't have confidence in who they are and what they do, not because they have a low self-esteem, but because they have a proper self-esteem, that they actually haven't done shit in their lives. They're actually losers. There have to be some, right? Not everybody is. But if we don't identify what a loser really is, then we can't move forward. And a loser would be somebody who not only has not done anything with their life, but has no intention to, doesn't want to, and will not compromise with society. The people who just do their own thing. And that's fine. It doesn't mean that a loser is a bad person necessarily, but it just means that you can't expect society to give a fuck about you if you don't give a fuck about society. And that's a hard one. Because I'm empathetic as fuck about people. I give a shit about individuals. And, but I also care more about protecting my own family than a homeless guy that breaks into my garage or something. It's hard. You want to care, but you only care so much about certain things. So I'm gonna flip through some comments real quick here and see if there's anything new. Nice. Sire. Adam says your son should cover a Delicate Steve song. Oh my god, that's really funny. I sent it to him tonight for the first time because he lives up in Kalama and they don't have service up there. It's kind of out in the cut. Um, Chris says his dad died 18 years ago, 51, 52. Yeah, my father was 42. It made it really hard. It's like he was too young to die, but 52 is also too young to die. I think my friend's dad was around 52 or 53 when he died, and he died like a couple years after my dad did from a sudden heart attack. So, you kind of relate with people and that shit. Yeah, it's tricky, man, dealing with death in the family. Chris says, if no one knows how to replace a roof, then what? Dude, that's a great question, my friend, because, oh, God, roofs are expensive. Actually, my roof probably needs a new coating. I think it has one layer of shingles. I was going to put a new one on it. I was a roofer for a couple of years with my friend, and no, I didn't do the roofing part. I was the tear off laborer teenager guy. But I did watch and help and feed shingles, so I know exactly how it goes. I did it a couple times, helped my friend do his, but yeah, I actually we used to do a lot of side jobs. That's right, and doing a roof is easy. If you ever need a roof done, don't worry about calling a professional. If all you need is shingles, you just need to buy the shingles, do a starter row, and then 4 or 5 nails, and it ain't hard. I feel like, homeowners get screwed. Homeowners call like professional carpenters, roofers to do the very, very simplest things because they're not confident. It's a perfect segue into that. They're not confident enough to think that they can actually build something. Dude, YouTube tutorials. Okay, so I was a carpenter working for a guy. We were doing rough carpentry. I didn't know a lot, just doing framing kind of stuff and some finished work. And then he asked the crew basically who wanted to do the spiral staircase. And I like volunteered. Nobody else wanted to do it. It was like a recurved staircase with a maple handrail with wrought iron balusters that went straight into cherry, but the cherry pieces went around the edge and they also wrapped around the other edge, and there was carpet between them than other chairs. So I had a carpet runner down the center of cherry. But yeah, it was absolutely insane. And I was like, I'll do it. And then I went and bought a book that day at the bookstore. I read about spiral staircases and how to do the exact thing. Basically, the book I bought was like Fine Home Building or something, and on the cover it was like a guy like putting on a handrail on the exact type of staircase it was. Researched the shit out of it, and then I built it, and now it's in my book. I have like a we were in the newspaper and shit. It's pimp, dude. I like it. I'm not gonna brag about it. I'll show you guys sometime if you want to see it, but I did make a video about it. I was just looking a little while ago. I have a whole folder full of like the house we did and how it was in a local magazine. It was in Oregon Homes. It was in, yeah, it was really cool. But that's a confidence builder, right? When you're recognized. And that's my point here. When you actually get noticed for what you do, it's fucking awesome. You know? Like, I've been building shit since I was a kid, but not until I really got put on these projects for like, I think back then I was only making like fucking not even $20 an hour for that guy. I didn't even care. I was just doing it to learn. But then I got my own carpentry license, started working as a subcontractor for like 30. Then I started working for other people for like 40 an hour cash. It was perfect for me. And then my back gave out. I fucked my back up and I couldn't lift anything for like a year. I was devastated. It ruined everything. I thought I was going to be this professional carpenter for my whole life. I had my own business, my own I had two different contractors licenses over a few years because I had to change it over. I had a partnership with like my best friend, and then he took off or it didn't work out. Let's just say my buddy and I didn't really click on the business level as much as in the personal hangout level, and so then I started doing it on my own. Got a new license, and then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and not with my back all fucked up. And then I started selling kratom, and the rest is history. But now I'm back doing tiny homes, and I'm back into carpentry, and it builds a new confidence. Like I'm finally back to where I feel like I should be, you know. And we all know what we need to do to build our own confidence. So, I believe anyway. I kind of have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to read through the comments real quick. 300 pounds of shingles, Zach says. Okay, Zach, on the shingle note, if you actually order shingles from a roofing company, they will come out with the roof loader truck. They have this like boom that rolls out and extends, and it has a conveyor belt, and they'll feed the shingles onto your roof, and they'll actually stack them on the ridge for you. And all you have to do is throw down they're like 40, 50 pounds per package. You just kind of slide it down the roof, cut it open, start feeding shingles. It's easy as pie. I'll show you how to do it. I swear. Donate $1,000 and I'll come to your house and do it. Yeah. Shingling is hard, says Jackass. It is. Oh, it is. Yeah, you got to do it the right time. You don't want to do it when it's cold. They'll be too stiff. But you don't want to do it when it's like 100 degrees. I would say go out when it's like 70, 75, perfect temperature. Put shingles on your roof, no problem. But it depends on the pitch. If you got a 2 or 312, which means 2 inches for every 12 inches, let's just say if it's a 12-12, that means it's a 45-degree angle and it's too steep for you to do by yourself. Get help, get toe boards, make sure that you have roof jacks and toe boards at the gutter in case you slide down. And yeah, if you're too much of a total pussy, just get help. Chris says it's rewarding when someone notices or says a simple thank you. Yep, you're fucking absolute. Yeah, it's an I can do this moment. He said that's exactly how it feels to me too. Zach says, yeah, he's talking about my back. Yeah, sciatica. Basically, I have a pinched nerve between my L4 and L5 lumbar, and I went in. I tried all the different shit. I had massage. I had uh, acupuncture. I had the what's it called? The chiropractor for like a few months. I realized that's total bullshit. And no offense to anyone, but chiropractors really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I didn't know that at the time. I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people. It does loosen you up. It can crack your joints, but it's not a solution. It's not real medicine. It's not. It's considered quackery to a lot. And when you have sciatica and they tell you that this is going to help to heal you, it actually makes it worse in the long run. But another story altogether. I had sciatica that was so bad that I had to have my wife lift me into the bathtub one time. Like it was horrendous. She's like, I was in the hallway. I'm like, honey, I could not get up. It hurt so bad. And so now that I'm back to doing construction, it hurts again, but just not as bad as it used to. And so, that's why, honestly, when I was selling kratom and making YouTube videos, I thought that would be great to just do something like YouTube forever because I don't have to actually like lift anything or do physical work. And I thought that'd be great. But in retrospect, I'm happier doing actual physical work because I enjoy doing labor. I enjoy working. It's hard to explain because a lot of people just don't give a fuck about working, but I do. I like to feel like I'm worthy, especially learning new things. That's why I built all these guitars. You see that shit? One over here in the corner? Where's it? Right there. That one's a Fender reproduction from Fender Stratocaster. The next one over is my own custom model that was based on kind of an SG, but it's like walnut and maple. And the next one over from that is my circuit guitar. So I was like, I can do this, and that took confidence. It took a little bit of motivation and the feel that I could actually do something myself that I'd never watched anyone else do. Just watch some tutorials and build a guitar. My friend and I both did it, and we're so glad we did. So I highly recommend it to anyone who likes guitar to build their own guitar. Jackass had a laminectomy. I'm not familiar with that one. Eric says I've heard mixed things about chiropractors. Yeah, it's a little tricky. Your mom was going to save a great penny. It's a curse. Nice. You guys are awesome. I love that conversations take place in my comment section and that they're respectful. It seems like every time a channel gets really big, the comment section is just full in the live cast of just hearts and emojis and bullshit. It just gives such a. I don't mean that emojis themselves are bad. I mean like nothing but that. Like, hundreds of colorful emojis to try to compete with the comment before that, which was like literally a split second before that. It's weird. I like my audience. That's all. I need to take a binger and I need to go to the bathroom, so my apologies. How long have we been here? 1 minute and 21 seconds. Okay. Well, I guess I'll stick around for another 20 minutes or so. Haha, you guys know how I feel about that. That means I'll be here for hours, but no. I gotta go to work in the morning. I'll be back in just one moment after I go to the bathroom. I'll play some elevator music for you, but I can't find any. Supposed to find some applesauce here. I don't see it. Aha. I found it. To find the applesauce. almost done. Alright. I'm fine. Thanks for sticking around, my friends. I just went to the bathroom, but then I also had to grab like this little nugget shaped thing, which is a potato, apparently, in the shape of a pellet, and then a chicken McNugget. It's not a McNugget, don't get me wrong. Okay, so this is the part of the video where take off my shirt, my coat rather. You don't want to see my chest. I'm not taking off my shirt. Finish my nugget, get a beer, and then I'll finish this video and get to the point I was going to make about confidence and how difficult it is to obtain. All right. I'm no expert here, but the general consensus is that if you wear certain clothes, if you have a certain amount of money, if you have certain tastes, you are considered confident. You are considered an alpha male. You are considered something beyond, I guess, normal. Whatever normal is. And I think that what really matters is what you can carry with you from day to day, into the future, into your older years. What kinds of things can you continue to hold on to? It's hard to explain because I see it in my mind when I'm trying to convey that people don't really get the fact that everything has a season. Everything tends to be trendy. And eventually it fades away. You have to build something in your life that means something important to you. Anyway, enough rambling. I've got to go soon here. I think I've had enough of my I think I've said enough. I can tell when I get to the point where I'm rambling and not saying anything important. Because maybe that's a part of confidence. You got to acknowledge when you sound like a dumbass. I get to that point sometimes. I have a lot to say, but I probably should get in and get some dinner soon and get to work tomorrow. I need to take a binger, though. Oh, Zach's talking about stucco patching. Yeah, you must live in the South. Yeah, Cali or Florida or Texas or something. We don't have no stucco up here. Drink some bourbon. No, don't drink bourbon. Jackass. Don't do it. Especially if you got whiskey in your name. Don't drink bourbon. Go for lucky number 7. That's funny. I don't know how I feel about coincidences or synchronicities, but somebody mentioned the other day that their lucky number was 7, and I said mine was too, and they were all surprised. I'm like, well, that's a lot of people's, you know. Daniel says, been almost a year for me. Best decision I've ever made. That's excellent. My homie actually made, he quit drinking like 4 years ago. and I'm really proud of him. He's the one we went out to his brother's house with, or his. He went out with my other friend whose brother has cancer. Yeah, I mean it's funny because you can't always. It's hard to talk about alcohol when people can't drink anymore, but they know. You just got to deal with it. Other people still can party. I fortunately didn't waste my, chances. Like, not wait, I don't mean that offensively, but rather I should say I didn't overdo it, and therefore I was able to still kind of moderately take certain substances without using it to escape. It allowed me to consume lower quantities. I feel the same way with cannabis. People can actually smoke too much weed and get way too out of whack, and that gets out of hand for some people, and for others, they can smoke as much as they want, no issue. Depends on the person. What's for dinner? Yes, that's. What is for dinner? I don't know. Carpo have to stay on if I'm drinking. I have to stay on if you're drinking? Okay, I'll stay on as long as people actually have something to ask. Let me see. Maybe I should actually, maybe I can send this live cast to my friend. See if I can share. Oh, I can hit share. There, I copied